Welcome back, everybody. I know I've been gone for a minute, but I decided to take myself a little vacation. You know what? I needed it, and it was fun. But now I'm back, and we're going to do some book club updates. So, let's see if I struggle with the screen share like I normally do, because screen sharing is awesome. Let's see. Here we go. So, rounding up first, we have The Family of Pascal. I talked about this book before, but we've now finished it in our book club. Um, my thoughts on it. It was worth reading. Would I recommend it to others? Only if they really prefer dark stories with really no light at the end of the tunnel, because there's not going to be any. It was a very quick read, enjoyable. The ending chapters got a little wonky for me as the personality change with the protagonist kind of shifted, in my opinion. Like he got smarter all of a sudden, and I don't know what was up with that. But even with that little hiccup, in my opinion, I still think it was worth reading. Um, and it was interesting to see a lot of the little sub characters who I personally had more of a vested interest in than the main protagonist we had going on. Again, it was a good book. I enjoyed it. Next up that we're currently reading is A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, and we're particularly reading the 75th anniversary edition. Some people are also listening to the audiobook version, and it's got a lot of imagery up front, but it basically follows the story of our main character, Francie Nolan, a bright, observant girl growing up in the early 1900s Brooklyn. Um, she's poor. She's very poor. And her family scrapes by with love, grit, and hard choices. A lot of hard choices they got to make through school, friendships, and daily struggle. Francie learns to navigate poverty while holding tight to her hunger for stories and a better life. She likes to read in the book, which is kind of fun. If you're a book person, hey, somebody like me, they like to read books. Her parents are affectionate, but she has a very unreliable father and a pretty fiercely, I'm going to say practical. That's probably the wrong word for it, but we're going to go with practical mom. Um, but the whole family pulls in different directions, shaping Francie's ideas about hope, responsibility, and survival. And as the Nolans face setbacks and small triumphs, Francie's inner world expands and she begins to understand the complicated adults around her. She's treated very much like an adult, even though she's a young woman. At the beginning of the book, we're about a little more than halfway through it at this point. It's pretty much a tender coming of age kind of tale about resilience and stubborn, quiet ways, dreams growing even through the toughest soil. Ha 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 ha! Tree joke. See what I did there? In the other book club, we have just started reading. We're calling the DC Occult arc. We're going to start with the Sandman, but there's other things to plan to bring on, like John Constantine or the Hellblazer series, and Lucifer, and a few others like Lock and Key, and my personal favorite, the Green Guy. If you don't know who I'm talking about, it's Swamp Thing. And Swamp Thing is amazing and a very underrated character, in my opinion. But it's kind of our walk through an occult type world. But the series that we're starting with, the Sandman, and I know this price tag looks expensive, but I'm telling you, it's worth every penny. And there are cheaper used copies out there. So don't balk at the price. The read is worth it. I have read it before. Um, but just to give people an idea of what it's really about, this particular arc that we're reading, the Sandman, we get introduced to a character called Dream. He's also called Morpheus. He's an ancient, otherworldly ruler whose domain shapes sleep, stories, and the subconscious of every living being. It is set in the DC universe, but don't think so much of superheroes. Yar, get the bad guy. Um, and after a catastrophic disruption to his existence, he returns to a world that has shifted without him and must rebuild his power while confronting the consequences of what was lost. The journey pulls him through a shadowy occult corners, mythic realms, unsettling encounters, and immortals and monsters, blending horror, fantasy, and very much dark humor. As Dream pursues the tools and truth he needs, the series lays the groundwork for a vast, interconnected mythology where stories have weight and choices echo across worlds. It's atmospheric, imaginative, and eerie, more like a literary epic in comic form than a traditional superhero tale. Again, you got to get people relate superheroes to graphic novels, and I get it, but you got to remove that. This is very dark and it's a fun tale and very enjoyable. There is a Netflix series, and there is a very good Audible version of this as well. I recommend all three if your media types are in there. Um, and so yeah, I think that's all we're really doing. And did I go over to the? I did. Okay, good. Um, Reading 11 pages a day in the Tree Goes from Brooklyn group, and then the Cult series, we're doing a chapter read because they don't really got page numbers, so we decided to do chapters instead. If you're interested in any of these things or any of the new things we're going to be reading, I very much encourage you to check out my Patreon to join us. Um, it's okay to join mid book. You can listen in and wait till the next book, or you can try to jump in with us already and just pick up where we are. We record everything so you can listen to all of our discussions that we've had up to the point that you join, and yeah, just pick it up from there. There's no pressure here, but I do want you to come along for the ride if you are so interested. Again, we got two different book clubs in the Patreon. One standalone books, more or less, and the other one's story arcs. As this one is going to take us a while to get through. I think there's, well, I don't want to tell you how many books are on the list because that might sound intimidating, but there's a lot, but it's going to be worth it. Um, Let me see here. Is there anything else on book club news? No, I think that's going to do it for today. And there'll be another video coming out Saturday. So I hope to see you all comment and liking and subscribing as you do. Again, the Patreon and all the books I mentioned here today will be down in the description below. And if you've read any of these, let me know in the comments what you think. All right. And as always, keep on booking on.